So here we are in lesson 5.1F, solving triangles. And what that means is we are finding all the information of the right triangle. So this is a good diagram right here. This shows us all three sides, all three angles, and this is where the answers are going to go and what your answers will look like. So by the end of this, we will know all three of the angles and we will know all three of the sides. You can use lots of different tools to do these. You can use Pythagorean theorem, you can use trig, you can use inverse trig, you can use the triangle sum theorem, you can use lots of different tools. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and I'm going to kind of give you some examples of how you could do all these. So let's look at number one. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make what's called the six pack, which is this right here. So I'm just going to put a place over here where all my answers are going to go. So I just list angle A, angle B, angle C. Notice these are all capital letters, and then their corresponding sides are lowercase letters. Then when you start a problem, you're going to be given three pieces of information and you're going to need to find the other three. So looking at this problem, it looks like angle B is 68 degrees. Angle C is 90 degrees. And side A is 4. So remember, this corresponding side is opposite. So this 4 is opposite of angle A, so that makes it side A. So at this point, we are ready to start our work. So we're going to have to find three different answers: angle A, side B, and side C. When I look at this, it's kind of nice to start with two angles because I don't have to do anything fancy to find the third angle. There's something called the triangle sum theorem, which is just a fancy way of saying, hey, I know the angles should all add up to 180 degrees. So here's how we use the triangle sum theorem. Ready? We're just going to do 180 minus 68 minus 90. All right. 22. Oops. Angle A, not angle B. Okay, so now we know angle A is equal to 22 degrees. I'm just going to check real quick and make sure I didn't make any mistakes there. So I'm going to add these all together and make sure it adds up to 180. And it does. Okay, angles are good to go. Now I'm going to work on finding the missing sides. So because we're going to have to find three different answers here, it's important that you label your work. So here I said 22 equals angle A. So if someone's looking at my answer, like, how did they come up with 22? I can easily find it. So please make sure all your work is very clearly shown on these. So now I'm going to use trig to find the other two sides. So I'm going to use 68 as my focus angle. So that makes this the hypotenuse. This is, oh, that is not the hypotenuse. That is the opposite side. This is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. So looking at this, it does not matter which one I find first. I can go in any order I want to. I'm going to go ahead and find the opposite side. So I want to find the opposite side, but I already know the adjacent side. So opposite and adjacent is going to be tangent. So I'm going to set up my problem with tangent of 68 equals opposite. I'm just going to put the letter B for that because I don't know what it is, but when I'm done, I'll know what B equals over 4. So I can just multiply both sides by 4. That cancels off. 4 times the tangent of 68 is 99. No, 9.9, I mean. There we go. And last, I need to find angle or side C. So I'm going to do trig again, although at this point, once you have two sides of a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. But I personally prefer trig just because it's a little bit faster in my opinion. So I'm going to stick with it. So for this one, I know the adjacent side and I want to find the hypotenuse. So adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So for this problem, we're going to set up cosine 68 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 4 over, and the hypotenuse is across from angle C. So I'm going to say 4 over C. So when the denominator is a variable, you have to solve these a little bit different. I'm going to put this over 1, and we're going to cross multiply it. So I have C times the cosine of 68 equals 4 times 1, so just 4. And now I'm going to divide both sides by cosine 68. I don't know if you guys can hear the classroom next door through the walls. I can hear it very loudly. I'm not sure if it's coming through on the video though. 4 divided by cosine 68 is 10. I can't read it like that. 10.67. Does it say how to round? It says to round to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to do 10.7. All right. So once you have all 6 answers, you are done with that problem. So then we've got 2 more of these to do. It says in each problem, angle C is a right angle. Solve each triangle rounding answers to the nearest tenth. All right, so let's jump in. I definitely need to draw a diagram because I have to see it. I can't just read it. So I'm just going to draw a right triangle real quick. So they said C is a right angle. So we'll label this A, this B. So let's see here. Angle B is 31.7. Notice that I'm labeling angles inside the triangles and then sides get labeled outside the triangle. So side A is opposite angle A, and that's 13.6. So I guess I'll start my answers over here. Angle A, angle B, angle C, side A, side B, side C. All right. So angle C is 90, angle B 31.7, and side A is 13.6. So this is going to be basically identical to the one we just did. So this will be good practice for us. All right, so I'm going to start because I know 2 angles, so I can do triangle sum theorem to get the third angle. So we'll go ahead and start by saying angle A is equal to 180 minus 90 minus 31.7. I will give you a little shortcut here. These are all going to have a 90-degree angle, so it's always going to start with 180 minus 90, which is 90. So you can actually just do 90 minus 31.7. Or you can do all 3 numbers. Either way is fine. 58.3. Okay. So be sure to box all your answers because remember, your job is to communicate your thinking to me, the person looking at your work and grading your work. So make sure it's neat. Make sure the person can understand how you got your answer and they can find your work. All right, so now let's find some sides. So from my focus angle B, this is the opposite, hypotenuse and adjacent. This is really exactly the same. We have the adjacent side just like we did before. So let's go ahead and find the opposite side. So we have the adjacent side. We're looking for the opposite side. That is going to be tangent. So tangent of 31.7 equals opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to label this B over 31 or 13.6. to solve it, I'm going to multiply both sides by 13.6. That cancels that fraction out. So b is by itself now, which is the goal. And then I typed this in my calculator. So 13.6 tangent 31.7. And I get 8.39, but again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to put 8.4. And I can fill that in over here. Okay, last we have to find side C. I'm just going to do Pythagorean theorem this time just to give an example of it. I have some room right here to do that. Let me just kind of separate these spaces. Okay, so for Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to do 13.6 squared plus 8.4 squared equals c squared. 13.6 squared plus 8.4 squared equals 255.52. And so to solve that, I need to square root each side. And one thing you can do is you can hit second and then square root right here. That pops up the square root. And then I can hit second again and type this button. So above the negative is this ANS, that stands for answer. So this square root's my last answer that I got in my calculator. So it saves you a little bit of typing. 15.98. So I'm going to round that to 16. There we go. All right, one more. I've got 8 minutes, so I'm going to go kind of fast. 6 periods about to start. Okay, so another right triangle. B is 90. Side A is 9.4 and angle B is 23. This is another problem exactly like the first two. You know what? Let's not do example 3 because it's exactly the same. We're going to go through the same order. So we're going to go ahead and just not do this example. We've already done a lot of work. So you guys have it basically covered with 1 and 2. But please let me know if something comes up on the homework that wasn't covered here. I'd be more than happy to help you.